All right, hello everybody. I have a short one for you today. I have been watching the videos. The Mises Institute has the Austrian Economics Research Conference every year. And, often, and the talks that are given are generally put up on YouTube, various places, and they're usually pretty interesting. Every once in a while there's something really, really cool that shows up. And that's what I'm here to tell you guys about today. Is one of the most interesting talks I've ever seen at the Austrian Economics Research Conference. Maybe one of the best videos that has ever been put out by the Mises Institute is there's a talk by Edward Fuller, and it has kind of a boring name. It's like, Keynes and the ISLM model or something like that. And you kind of look at this, and if you even watch the first few minutes of the talk, you're like, oh, this is just another thing where we're like, yeah, Keynes really was a socialist, blah, 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 blah. Here's a little bit more evidence, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And those talks can be fun, right? But this one, where it goes from there, from those humble beginnings, is somewhere incredible, because it unfolds like a detective story. First off, there's the part where he's talking about Keynes' socialism, and he goes through and he's talking about a bunch of different sources, and I'm not talking about stuff that somebody said. I'm talking about stuff that Keynes said, stuff that was in people's private diaries. Talking about not just about Keynes being a socialist, which if you've read Keynes's evaluation of, or not evaluation, but preface, forward, whatever, to the German version of the General Theory book, you know that, Keynes is a socialist, right? He's like, yeah, everything I'm writing here works really well if you have total control of the economy. And so, that's fine. But, what Fuller goes into is he talks about all these different sources about people that Keynes was, palling around with, organizations that he started or joined, and shows that Keynes' socialism went all the way back to well before, say, 1917, which would be a good starting point for someone to be socialist around the Bolshevik Revolution, right? But no, it goes way back further than that. He even talks a bit about some of the crazy stuff that George Bernard Shaw was saying, and how Keynes was like, I love all this stuff I love all this insane ramblings that are coming out of George Bernard Shaw. And that would be interesting enough. But then it even goes even further from there, because there's this split with Keynesians. There's the post-Keynesians, which I think is people like Krugman and stuff. And then there's pardon me, there's I think they're called the Orthodox Keynesians, and there's this thing called the ISLM model. And I don't want to get too much into the details of it, because the actual model itself is not really the topic of the talk. It doesn't turn into some dry economics talk. But what the difference is between the Orthodox and the post-Keynesians is that the Orthodox Keynesians say Keynes, invented this ISLM model, and the post-Keynesians say, no, he didn't. It's kind of, the parts of it are there in his book, but he never synthesized it. It's this other guy named Hicks who kind of did that. And that would, and talking about that would be interesting enough. But it goes even further than that, to the point where I don't want to talk too much about it, because I feel like it'd be like spoilers. This is an economics talk at a research conference that has spoilers. And, pardon me, Fuller goes on to talk about a book that he wrote recently with another guy whose name I'm forgetting, but that's fine. And that other guy wrote another book back in 1987, I believe. But they're going through all this first-hand evidence, primary evidence of oh yeah, this guy went to this Keynes seminar before Keynes published the general theory, and we can see in his notes that Keynes himself was summarizing things into basically the ISLM model. There's intrigue. It's oh, we found a letter by this one guy talking about this other thing about the ISLM model, and we brought it to this Hicks guy who's often heralded as the inventor of the ISLM model, and guess what he said? And I'm not going to spoil it, because that's a spoiler. It's so good and so interesting, and if you just give it past the first 5-10 minutes where by the way, Keynes was a socialist. It's like, yeah, we know. From there, he goes on to this. It's basically like a detective story where they're uncovering evidence that, just by pure luck didn't get lost to time, right? We're talking about notes that some guy took when he was at an economics seminar with a guy who had not yet written the general theory. And we have those notes. Not only do we have those notes, we have notes from somebody else that confirms what's in these notes. We have letters from one economist to another talking about this or that, and there's bits and pieces in here that like prove these crazy things that Edward Fuller is talking about in this talk. I'm going to put a link to it in the description. I'm going to put it as the thing at the end of at the end of my thing here. But if you are interested in economics, or even just like mysteries at all, this is a talk worth going to check out. I cannot recommend it enough. And so we will call it here for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Go watch the video, and I will see you next time, probably with some more Kropotkin. We'll see. Anyway, have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll see you all later.